Good morning and welcome to the 445 Productive Through Joy show with your host and your boy, Dr. Michael Datcher. The show airs each weekday morning, hella early. Ooh, we at 4:45 a.m. That's early, guys. A.m. here on the West Coast, Pacific Coast time, PST, and then 4:45 p.m. on Facebook Live. Of course, the morning show here is on YouTube's Michael Datcher channel. So thanks for being here. If you are new, you can go to productivethroughjoy.com to see about us. We speak to groups, schools, and organizations about being productive through joy. Today, guys, we're talking about on this morning show about reality. Super interesting topic that I'm very excited, a little emotional, excited, and a little emotional to talk about. Excited and a little emotional to talk about, as you'll see why in a few moments. So thanks for being with us. For those of you who are new, allow me to say a few words about myself. This is your host and your boy, Dr. Michael Datcher, author of the New York Times bestseller Raising Fences, author of the acclaimed historical novel Americas, author of the Pulitzer Prize nominated Animating Black and Brown Liberation, a theory of American literatures. I'm also the board president of a wonderful nonprofit here in Los Angeles called The World Stage, which is an arts and education, a jazz and literature nonprofit here in LA's Crenshaw District. Really one of the most, I can't even over exaggerate the impact of watching this organization over the years impact a community. It's a reminder of the power of arts, guys. Art is not playing, right? My educational background is UC Berkeley as an undergrad. My master's is from UCLA. My PhD is in English literature from the University of California at Riverside. Guys, I'm an expert at being productive. I don't say that to brag or boast. I say it because people are almost always just surprised to hear that story, that brief bio when they learn about my deep background, as they say. I am the product of a young girl who was assaulted at age 16, gave birth to me at 17, and subsequently gave me up for adoption to a single divorcee who was amazing, yet at the time no biological father, no adopted father. It's a difficult times for a young MD, as LeBron James famously said, I ain't supposed to be here. Folks from my type of background, which is why this topic for me is of reality is emotional today. I'm thinking about just my own life in such an intimate way. You know, the reality is that people from my type of background ain't supposed to be here. So I know many of us who watch this show can relate. You don't have my particular story, but you do have a story that is rooted in challenge and obstacles. So the show is for y'all, all right? So, but that really inspires the show, inspires my business, inspires all that I do, because I know it's not where you're from. It's where you're about to go. So thanks for joining us. So I guess we're talking about reality. Let's dive in. Oh, also, please subscribe and pass the word to subscribe to this show if you like it. We're talking about reality. And point one is that you want to do what I would call some due diligence on what you perceive to be reality. I mean, you want to spend some time thinking about what is my reality. I say that because as a professor, but also as a person just in people's lives, because we're so busy, because we're just trying to survive, we're in survival mode so often, we don't have really that much time to contemplate. Although navel gazing is like the extreme form of contemplation, which can be a problem, which I get. I don't. You don't want to spend too much time in the past because typically contemplating involves being in the past, what you've done, et cetera, what's happening. I don't recommend that too much, but there needs to be some of that just to contemplate from time to time. What has been your reality and what is your current reality, and what would you like to be your future reality? That's important. So I encourage that, and that's like schedule that, like take some time, right? If you know the show, you know that we talk a lot about meditation and ritual and making time for those things, right? That's super important. Point two is that as you contemplate reality, both in your own personal narrative and also the reality of the context in which you live. So I shared a second ago about my background and people from my type of background, African American man, from that situation just not supposed to make it. Then also, I mean, having survived childhood and gotten to adulthood and faced the myriad of challenges that I've faced, and then becoming a grown man, as many of us are, then we are at times hit with unexpected challenges, reality checks, as they say, about people's motives, about, as I've said before on this show, it's one of the most difficult and painful situations that I've ever experienced. I'm not alone in this experience. Is when someone close to you, or when people close to you, do you dirty, to speak in the vernacular, do you wrong. Don't act right because of their own pain and their own unethical behavior. And when you have your guard down, you're right, and you are not ready for not that person to stab you in the back, it's really painful. Again, the great poet Sonia Sanchez has a poem in a line called "Wounded in the House of a Friend." The book is called "Does Your House Have Lions?" But the line is called "Wounded in the House of a Friend." Or that could be the poem title. When a friend wounds you, it's so painful. I know for me, because I'm just with my friends, I'm completely vulnerable. If you're my friend, like my real friend, you're getting all of me, and there's no filter. We're just going to be keeping it real, and I can just be my complete self. And so, but in that, you know, those people have extraordinary power to hurt you, and I've experienced that. The last few years, it's been a very challenging time for me in that context. Some people in my life intimately have just like done a play it dirty, and I think about that. I mention that because that is the reality that many of us live in, that people, do us wrong. As Sartre said, hell is other people, which is kind of a cynical way to think about people. But typically when someone, when you've experienced some trauma or some hardship, it's been at the hands of other people. So, you have to give Sartre his respect. Hell basically could be other people. So there's that, right? I mean, just to acknowledge that, so we don't want to be in some fantasy world, right? So those things have happened. Then the point three, which is really the sweet spot. And you can, make your own reality. And in making your own reality, you can also have a perspective at what you've viewed as your past reality, to what I would say find the good at it, or allow your perspective to give you a new perspective on what has happened and what you would have called your reality. So I said, okay, my reality is that, I was, born of this assault and faced a lot of trauma and drama in my life, right? Those are facts. And another perspective on that very real reality, which I don't minimize or try to make it what it's not. But from that, it has led to me having a lot of empathy, right? And a lot of gratitude, right? For being able to move through all those things. And empathy and gratitude are things that, as an adult today, have really now pretty much defined my life. And so that's what I mean by looking at reality from, I'll just call it new eyes, right? But that takes work, because it's really easy for me, for everyone else, to look at our past and think, damn, I still do that. I mean, it's like I get over that completely. I mean, that's why we have a spiritual practice. If you know the show, we talk a lot about meditating and other types of spiritual practice, being intentional, because you've got to forgive mugs every day. I have a ritual that I do where I basically acknowledge people's humanity who've done me wrong. I do it every day, just so I don't hold on to that. Now, do I forget? No. When I see the snake, am I going to be like, snake, I know you dogged me out, but I'm going to step on your head again? No, I'm not saying be foolish. But, I want to acknowledge, I don't want to demonize them. So I acknowledge that their humanity every day, just really for my own self, but just because I want to be able to be about what I claim to be about. All right. So that's just my thing that I do. You can find your own example of that in your own life. But it takes work to have this perspective, to be able to look at past situations that have been basically traumatic and find the good in them. And to get into that space, you got to do a lot of work. But here's the thing. The upshoot of it is that through going through those experiences, in my case, I've become more powerful. Now I'm able to actually create new realities via meditation, via other types of spiritual modalities. So my past has given me the power and the strength to be able to create my new reality in the future with much more efficacy. I mean, it's been amazing. And so, in the overarching view, all of it, all the life, all the ups and downs, so to speak, have led to me becoming more powerful. And that power has led me to create my present and whole new realities in the future. Boom, goes to dynamite. That's all we have for today's show, guys. We'll see you tomorrow, this afternoon at 4:45 p.m. Until then, let's talk about it and be about it. Deuces.